everybody.
I am Catherine.
This is Lisa.
And this is Megan.
So now that we have a vague idea of how people came to Colombia a hell of a lot of years ago, let's talk about how they became the social groups that the Spanish murdered like rats half a millennia ago. So if you haven't watched the previous video, I recommend you watch it so you understand what we'll talk about. So let's begin. Before those assholes from Iberia came to wreak havoc among some chill dudes, these guys had 10 centuries to develop their own culture. With time, they developed engineering and architecture projects that made look Europe like some underdeveloped continent. They even built some hydraulic structures, including drainage channels, waru, yep, that's the name, that are an irrigation system that use water diverted from closed rivers. These projects were built especially in Nechi, San Jorge, Sinú, and Cauca rivers. Oh yeah, they didn't have to walk over their shit like Europe. So almost all these sedentary groups had a plumbing system. Around the 1st and 2nd century was the boom for the use of gold in intricate pieces of art, mostly used for religious ceremonies. The aesthetics of the material show of power by caciques. In places like the gold and the national museums, you can see some of the remains of gold art, usually from the Chibchas. But sadly, nearly all of the gold was stolen by the Spanish to decorate places where they pay court to some Jewish guy with superpowers that is not Clark Kent. So, prior to the genocide committed during the conquest, it's estimated that there were around 7 to 8 million people in Colombia. Yep, that's the same number of humans that live in Bogota today. And to explain who they were, because we're some lazy nerds, we're gonna divide them in 3 groups: Chibchas, Caribe, and Arawak.
First, let's talk of the most known one, the Chibchas. With the time they had, they were able to advance on mathematics, astronomy, and they created a calendar to help them on the agricultural level, and even tried to make a writing system. Although, due to their widely spread population, they never had a solid state or nation or empire. They just lived on towns. Their culture was based on a clan society, where the chief of the clan was called cacique, and everyone was under the rules of the Nemecuene Code, an oral transmitted code to dictate over the social and political life of the Chibchas. This code was based on their religious views, that most of the gods of the Chibcha religion are interpretation of natural phenomena as Shue, the sun, Chia, the moon, and mythical deities as Chiminagagua, the creator of everything, Bachue, the mother of humanity, and Pochica, the hero that unfloated the region of Pacata by breaking a mountain. That mountain is actually the Tequendama Fall. Yeah, exactly the same that today is melt to shit, and where you go if you are too bored and want to kill yourself. Apart from that, they were kinda hipsters. They loved corn and used vegetables to everything. They didn't eat that many meat and just eat a lot of fish. So yeah, just like fucking hipsters of today. Now, we can separate the Chibchas into 2 groups, Muiscas and Tarragonas. And to keep it simple, just say that the Muiscas live mostly on the Cundinamarca, Boyacá, and Santander region. And they were like slaughtered? Yeah, they were just eradicated by the Spanish conquest. There is not much left of their culture. But there are some fellows dressed in ponchos that look like bloody lunatics who want to revive the ancient Muiscan culture and language, even if it's super dead, but well, who cares? And last, the Taironas are the ones who live in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. They have been living there for centuries and are super good at building stuff with rocks. And you could say that they managed to survive the Spanish conquest to this day. They never were eradicated, and their culture is pretty much alive in that mountain. So yeah, I think that is pretty cool.
Well, if the Chipchas were the hipsters, then the Caribes would have been the top badass but motherfuckers who reigned in northern Colombia. The Caribes, or Caripones, were a group of nomadic hunters who lived in the, you guessed, Caribbean coast. They were gathered on family clans called cacicazgos and were nomadic people who always moved from location to location. Now let's talk about the cool shit, shall we? Most of their diet consisted of fish. They were excellent fishers both in fresh and the open sea. In order to distinguish their different families, they used to wear a lot of body paintings over their bodies, and they also used that as war paintings. And during the start of the conquest, they were the ones to fight first the Spanish invaders and really put them a fight. The Spanish were so afraid of the Caribbeans that though they were cannibals who ate their food, and to this day it's difficult to deny or prove it. And just to finish already, the Arawak. There is not too much to say about them. They live on the most south part of the Colombia. Practically all their territory was in the Amazon rainforest. Nowadays, groups as Ticunas, Witoto, Bora, and so on are related to some extent with them. But here is the problem. They live in the freaking jungle. Even though we can theorize about how in the Amazon could have been some of the earliest society of the human, to prove that we will need a lot of archaeological evidence. And that is something very fucking hard to find inside of the biggest rainforest of the world. Many people lose there and die. So we know that the Arawak were a big group of indigenous people that helped to shape Colombia, but we can prove at what extent they developed their culture inside of the Amazon. Okay, I think that is it for now. So, in a quick sum up, Chipchas, the hipsters that live in the center, except for the Taitorans, they live in the mountain with ice and snow, and with all their legacy, they help us name some really bad neighborhoods in Bogota. Caribes, the badass hunters that scared the shit out the Spanish when the conquest started, and the Arawaks, some dudes that live.
Okay, everyone, this is it. So,
Thanks for watching and have a nice day.
goodbye.